Following is a paid program. Advice and opinions expressed during the program are solely that of Jung Garden Center, not WBEV 95X or Good Karma Brands. Once again, it is time for the Garden Doctor, and joining me is the doctor himself, Dick Zondag from Jung Garden Center in Randolph. Good morning, Dick.
Good morning, John.
All right. And, of course, we all invite your phone calls at 885-4446, 1-920-885-4446 if you have a question for Dick. Right now, what's happening at the store, sir?
Well, we're completely stocked with annuals, perennials, vegetable plants. We've still got a very good supply of peppers and tomatoes in almost all the varieties that we offer. I brought some petunias along. People have been really working hard on breeding petunias, and so now you've got petunias from purples to reds. I've got one here that has pink with a yellow center, and the not only the petunias but the super bells, which are a type of petunia in many colors that work really good as a ground cover. The wave petunias will grow to be probably a yard in diameter by the fall, and they just bloom all summer long. Brought some peppers along. With peppers, you want to make sure that you put a couple of matches in the hole with the peppers, because the soil that peppers love is sour soil, and the sulfur in the match will make the peppers love the soil, so they'll fruit much earlier and do much better. The variety of tomato that I brought along was Mortgage Lifter, really very large fruit, very tasty tomato. So we've got lots of different things, spikes for hanging baskets. We've got tons of hanging baskets that are all for specific purposes, whether it's sun or shade. And you can ask the people that work there how to maintain them, how to take care of them, how to fertilize and water them. So we've got good people in our garden centers to help answer your questions. We've got pretty much everything going. The bare root room is closed now. We're done with the bare root, and we do have container grown nursery stock. Quite a bit of it grown right in Randolph. We do buy in some of the unusual evergreens and some of the unusual nursery stock, but most of the plants that are in the container nursery are grown right in Randolph. The trees we grow in Randolph, so most of the plants, or all of the plants, are sort of adapted for our climate. So, like I said, good people to answer your questions. If you're looking for something specific for sun or shade or certain height, people know what they are. So,
all right.
Come on in.
Well, let's go right to the phones, 885-4446. And again, a reminder, not only are you enjoying the Garden Doctor on WBEV, but also the video page at dailydodge.com. Now let's go to the phones and say good morning. You're on the air with the Garden Doctor.
Good morning. I'm wondering about raspberries.
Okay.
We always have a problem once they get nice and green and they start to get bud out, then we get the blight in them.
Be sure that you're growing your raspberries in a sunny location so that the leaves dry off in the morning, so that
it's right out in the open.
Okay, so you have them out in the open. The second thing is to make sure that you thin them down. If you've got more than 6 to 8 canes per running foot, the plants are actually shading each other so that the dew doesn't dry off in the morning. So that's another thing you should do.
Yeah, that we have, and we have all kinds of mulch or leaves in them. Between
then the other thing, there are fungicides that you can use, just a general garden combination pesticide that has both the insecticide and the fungicide in it. And I would say right now is the time to go out and spray them, because leaves are most susceptible when they're first coming out. I mean, the same way with fruit trees, with the apples and pears and things like that. Now is the time when the apple scab is most virulent. So now is the time that you've got to get your sprays on. The dormant spray now is going to injure the tree. So you want to start using your Captan, some of the other fungicides that are available.
Captan would be good? Or?
Yep, Captan will work.
Okay. Okay, we'll try that. I don't know, the bed is getting quite old too. So I
Yeah.
don't know if that's
See,
part
and
of it.
sometimes when the bed is getting old, you're starting to get viruses and things in there that weaken the plant to diseases also. So it might be time to plant some new plants away from the old plants, because the new plants can get the diseases from the old plants, because insects will feed on the old plants, and when they're feeding on it, they draw the viruses into their bodies, and then when they fly to the next plant, especially if it's right next to it, and inject their saliva into the plant, they're injecting the viruses. So
Okay.
if your berries are getting crumbly, if they're not growing as well, if you don't get as many shoots, it probably means that you've got viruses. And the leaves, if the leaves get mottled, if they have more yellowing, in the leaves, probably means that you need to plant new plants.
Okay. And then also I'm wondering about an old lilac bush. All my blossoms are on the top.
Okay.
And what do I have to do for that?
What I would do right now is go out with a saw, and about a foot off the ground, cut off half of the large stems that are coming out of the ground. What will happen then is over the summer, rest of them off, and you'll have a new shrub. It's called renewal pruning.
Okay, so say that again. So,
Okay, so half of the stems, if you've got 6 stems coming out of the ground, you want to cut 3 of them off about a foot above the ground.
Okay.
You can use a chainsaw if you want. You can use a bow saw, whatever kind of saw you have. Saw 3 of them off right now, because
Okay.
if the lilac should be done blossoming. And then just let it grow, fertilize it a little bit so you give it a little extra nutrition. And what'll happen is new sprouts will come out of those old stumps. And then next spring, cut the other 3 off, and you'll have a new shrub.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, too.
Thank you for your call. 885-4446. Yeah, we had the same problem with our lilacs this year, only the top branches.
Yeah, and
The lilacs.
that's kind of unusual, because we had a relatively mild winter. We didn't get a lot of freezing and thawing, and most of the plants came through really well. And when that happens, I mean, when the flower only flowers on the top of the shrub, it usually means that you've got to do some renewal pruning. Got to get the plant more vigorous and start it over.
All right, let's go back to the phones, 885-4446, if you want to get on the air with Dick Zondag from Jung Garden Center in Randolph. Good morning, you are on the air.
Yeah, good morning. Is it a good idea to put your string beans in the water and soak them overnight before you put them in the ground?
Well, it will hasten germination.
It'll help.
And, just overnight. You don't have to do it very long. Almost any seed will germinate faster if it's soaked in water overnight.
Well, that's what I did. And then I did that 2 weeks ago, and they're not up yet. I don't
really?
know
Well, then your bean seed is...
why they haven't been up.
Yeah.
I always just planted them the way it was, and within a week they would be poking
Sure.
out of the ground. But is it because of the cool nights?
No. I mean, if you soaked them overnight, that should have started the seeds imbibing.
Yeah,
Boy, I don't know what
the
happened.
matter.
I mean, the only thing I can think of is that the seed wasn't good.
Well, it was brand new bags.
It was. Okay.
Yeah, yellow ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I guess
Well-
just plants. I mean, beans you usually don't have to do that with, because they germinate so readily that soaking them
Yeah.
overnight is.
Well, I planted them every year, and last year I had to replant. about every third or fourth one. I don't know why, and maybe the seed is bad or whatever. But
Did you
yeah.
rotate? Do you rotate where you're putting the things?
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
garden?
I did. I put them on the opposite side of
Okay.
the garden. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's something that you should do when you're planting a garden, is keep track of where
Right.
you put things and
Right.
rotate them.
Right.
Because if you keep planting them in the same spot,
Yeah.
if there's a disease that comes in, that disease will build up in the soil. Where if you rotate things in the garden, you'll have much better luck.
See, when I put the seed in there, when I put the row in, I added a little of this Miracle Grow compound in there, and then threw the seed right on there. Then I added a little water, maybe over for fertilizer.
Yeah, Miracle Grow is a salt. All fertilizers are salts, but if you're putting this Miracle Grow, which is a concentrated fertilizer, it may have sucked the moisture out of the seed. If you're going to put Miracle Grow, what I would do is top dress with it rather than putting it right in the furrow with the seeds.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well,
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're very
All right,
welcome.
thank you.
By the way, it's not too late to plant bean seed. I haven't even started my garden yet, so
Oh, wow.
when the soil is warm, the seeds come up out of the soil a lot faster, and Memorial Day is usually the time that I have time to go out and get my garden going.
All right, well, let's go to the phones. You're on the air with the Garden Doctor.
Yeah, how often should you fertilize hanging baskets?
What I recommend is that you use a product called Osmocote. It's a plastic encapsulated fertilizer that you mix right in with the soil. And every time you water the basket, a little bit of the fertilizer is leached out of the those little plastic pellets. If you're going to fertilize with a soluble plant food, depending on the plants that you have in the hanging baskets, if it's petunias, you can fertilize like every other week. If they're begonias and some of the bulbs, I would say maybe once a month. A good thing to do is to watch the color of the leaves. If the leaves start to turn a little yellow, that means that they need to be fertilized. If they're nice and dark green and they're growing well, that probably means that you don't have to fertilize.
Okay. And then I got some hanging baskets where it says full sun, and I put them on the east side of the house, and when it gets about 80 or so, they seem like they start kicking off.
Yeah, the east side of the house is a basket that's meant for sun is suited for the east side of the house is sunny. If you get a half a day's sunlight, you can use sun-loving plants. How big is the basket?
It's about 10-inch.
Okay. You may have to water twice a day when it starts to get into the 80s, because the full basket is exposed to the heat, and they dry out very rapidly. So you may have to go to watering twice a day.
Twice a day. Okay. So do you have those little pellets in the store?
Yeah. Oh yes, we do.
All right.
Yep. It's called Osmocote.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. Thanks
right.
for calling.
Thank you for the call. You're listening to the Garden Doctor program on 1430 WBEV, and you're the Garden Doctor.
Yeah, I see you're talking about your green beans. I planted green beans out there, and my golly, they didn't come up, and I looked out there, and there's some blackbirds out there all over them. Must have been eating the seeds.
Looking for the seeds, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. If you plant the seeds, bean seeds can be planted a couple inches deep. I don't think the birds would go after them if you plant them that deep. And the other thing you can do too is just take half a dozen of the seeds and put them on some paper toweling and put it in a plastic bag, and then you'll see whether the seed is good or not. That's an easy way to test it.
All right.
Especially if you've kept the seed over the winter.
Okay, let's go to our next caller. You're on the air with the Garden Doctor, Dick Zondag from Jung Garden Center in Randolph.
Yeah, I have a question on rhubarb.
Okay.
Is rhubarb usually a heavy feeder for fertilizer, ain't it?
They like a rich soil, yes.
What I always do every year, I always I get a bag of, or a couple bags of cow manure.
Okay.
And I put that on there just before it comes up if I know it's going to rain.
Yep.
So is that okay?
That's perfect. If it's a well composted cow manure, it's excellent for rhubarb.
Yeah, I just get it in a bag, from
Yep.
wherever.
Yep. Yeah, that's perfect. And the way you can tell if the rhubarb needs to be divided, and rhubarb is one of those plants that grows quite rapidly, and if you get a lot of flower stalks coming up, it means that you need to divide the rhubarb.
Yeah, look, getting a lot of what coming up?
See, flower stalks.
Oh, flowers. Okay, got it.
Yep.
I got it. Yeah.
Or
okay.
the other thing too is if the stalks themselves start to get smaller,
Smaller.
it
got
means that
Got
rhubarb
to get divided. Okay.
needs to be divided. Yep.
Another thing, I got another question. Okay, our garden lately in the last couple of years, we got a pretty good sized garden.
Right.
We till it at fall of the year, but what happens in the spring of the year, it's got so many weeds in it.
Yeah, a lot of the fall weeds.
Can I nail that with like Roundup?
Yeah,
And
well,
then
it'll
kill it
kill
or
the
not?
weeds, that's for sure. It'll kill anything that's there. I mean, if you're using it, you got to stay away from the rhubarb and the
Right.
asparagus and stuff like that because Roundup will kill anything that's green.
Correct. Can I just put the Roundup on there and, like you said, stay away from the rhubarb and stay away from the rhubarb and let it sit, and then can I till it after that?
Okay, what you want to do is read the label. Okay, that's what I tell people. I
Okay.
think it will work, but it's only legal to use pesticides the way that they're labeled, and the label will tell you, when and it definitely will kill everything that's there.
Right.
It's just, and with Roundup, one of the nice things is there's no residual, but you have to read the label to see whether that's a labeled use for it or not.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
what
we
I'm
got a lot
telling
of
you is it
problem with
works,
weeds
but
in there.
you gotta check the label.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you for your call. 885-4446-1920, 885-4446. Both lines are open, so give us a buzz. Talk a little bit about your website, Dick.
Right. We're putting a lot of time and energy into our website. We're looking at things that we can do. We're in the process now of putting a lot more information about how to plant certain crops. Over the summertime, we're going to have I don't know if we're going to call it the Gardener's Corner or, cultural information, but we're going to be putting a lot more information on the website. It's been a work in progress, and we're also going to be changing the quick order form so it's much easier to use this year. We're doing a lot of work. We're getting more and more, a bigger percentage of our orders on the internet, and so we want to make sure that customers can go there and get the information that they need. One thing I want to talk a little bit about too today is your strawberries. With the lack of rain that we've had in this area, I actually went out and watered my strawberries over the weekend, and it was surprising how much the leaves started to perk up. My strawberries are in full bloom right now, and so now is the time that they need that water because strawberries are a huge percentage of the strawberry is water, and so until we get the fruit, or if we get a nice rain, that will help too. But I'm going to be watering my strawberries because they'll do much better, and they'll fruit. The fruit will be much larger too. I also fertilize them because now's the time when they need that extra fertility.
All right, again, the lines are open, 885-4446-1920, 885-4446. If you've had a history of not being able to get in on the show and take advantage of Dick Zondag's expertise, now would be a great time to call, 885-4446. Dick, Is next week your last show, or do we go 2 more
No,
shows
I
after
think,
this?
I think next week is the end.
Next week is the last show.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. And again, 885-4446. I threw just a bunch of grass seed on some parts of our lawn that little weed filled. Was that good timing? I threw it on right before we got kind of a nice soaking rain.
Yeah. If you did it 2 or 3 weeks ago, you hit it right on. Right now, it's starting to get to be, it's not too late. I mean, what you want to do if you've got some bare spots is just rake it so that you've got a little bit of loose dirt and spread the seed on and then put a little straw over it to keep the warm winds from drying it out. And then you've got to water it pretty much every day to keep that soil moist, because the only thing that really kills grass seed is to have it start to germinate and then dry out. So what you do is you rake the lawn to rake that area to get a little loose soil. You spread the seed on it. You rake it again and pack the soil down so that the seed comes in good contact with the soil, and then you water it, put some straw on top of it, and just keep watering it if we get hot, dry weather. And within a week to 10 days, you'll see the annual rye start to come. And then about a week later is when the bluegrass will start to germinate. So it's not a short process, but if you do it right, it helps a lot.
If you're just tossing it out by hand, or using a cup or something to just kind of throw grass seed on the ground, how much do you need in like a certain area till you hardly see the dirt anymore? Or
Well, the normal rate is 4 pounds to 1,000 square feet. So 1,000 square feet is 20 by 50.
okay,
And 4 pounds is a usual bag size that, now I guess we sell it in 2 pounds. And the thing you want to do too, John, is with lawns, you've got to know how much light you've got. If you've got full light or at least a half a day's sunlight, then you use a mix like the one that we sell is Madison Parks, and that does a beautiful job because it has 3 or 4 different bluegrass varieties, plus the 10% rye that comes up right away to act as a nurse crop. If you're doing it in a thin lawn, you just start again. You got to make sure that the grass is dry so that the seed doesn't stick to the blades.
okay.
And then do the same thing, maybe rake it a little bit so that you get a little soil loose, and then water the lawn so that soil settles down and seed comes in good contact. The advantage of overseeding, which is what you're doing, is that the lawn is there and it will kind of act as a nurse crop for that seed so that you don't have to water quite as much as you do when you're starting it with bare soil.
Now, do you need to dig out the root of the broadleaf weeds, or does the grass kind of overtake that as it comes up?
If you're starting with an area that's all broadleaf weeds, you want to use Roundup to kill
Okay.
everything
Okay.
before you start.
All right.
And then you till it a little bit just so you get some loose soil, or rake it, and then you put your seed on, you put your pack it down, put your straw on, and then keep watering it until you see the seeds, the grass come through through the straw.
All right.
You don't remove the straw because the straw will decompose. You'll make too much of a disturbance and probably pull some of the grass seed out if you try to remove it. So, just put a thin layer, an inch or so of straw, just so it covers the ground, and fertilize it so that it gets off to a good start, and away the grass grows.
All right, let's go back to the phones. We do have a line open, 885-4446. You're listening to The Garden Doctor on WBEV and streaming live video on dailydodge.com. Let's go back to the phones. Good morning. You are on with Dick Zondag from Jung Garden Center.
Hello. When I plant my tomatoes, I wrap plastic around all my tomato cages. And over the years, I've been having a blight issue with my tomatoes. And a gardener friend of mine telling me I'm leaving that plastic wrap on the cages too long.
Yes,
and
definitely.
I'm capturing too much moisture. What is your thought on that?
Yeah, definitely. I wouldn't wrap the tomato cages with plastic now. There's plenty of heat in the ground, and if we are going to get a frost or a freeze, you can then go out and put the plastic on them. What's happening is the spores, which are like little seeds for the diseases, for the blights, germinate in the dew in the morning. And if the dew dries off before 10 or 11 in the morning, you're probably not going to have the disease because a spore will germinate, but if it doesn't get that little germ tube into the leaf, it'll die. So he's completely right. You should not put plastic on those cages. Just let them grow. And then
the main reason I put the plastic on is because I'm kind of in an open area, and I'm trying to protect the plants from the wind, at least until they get going. But I agree with you. Maybe I'm going to have to fight the wind and take the plastic off.
Well, you could use like, no, you can't use burlap because that cuts the sun off, but maybe some kind of a windbreak, where you put a couple of stakes in the ground and put some plastic between the stakes so that it kind of cuts the wind down before it gets to your plants. That would be a lot more beneficial than covering your plants, because, like I said, your friend is correct that high humidity area around those plants for a long period of time will give you the blights much earlier.
All right, thank you very much.
If you do it, and you start to see yellowing in the leaves, then we have a potato dust that you can put on to slow the diseases down.
Okay, well, I learned a lot today. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you very
calling.
much. Yep, and that's what you do, learn. You learn a lot with Dick Zondig. Dick, once again, what is happening at the store?
Well, we've got a lot of green plants to sell. We've got all sorts of beautiful petunias and snapdragons, and one of the newer ground cover type things is the profusion zinnias. I've seen it at several different businesses in the area where they've got a bare ground where they've put these profusion zinnias, and they blossom pretty much all summer long, and they completely cover the soil. Another one is the wave petunias will do that also. And then, I brought along some tomatoes and peppers. We have a good supply of most of the varieties of tomatoes and peppers. A lot of hot peppers this year, because that seems to be another thing that people are starting to pay attention to, the hot peppers. So we've got a lot of those also. So the bare root room is closed, but we have the potted nursery open, and we've got beautiful shade trees and evergreens and all the ornamental trees. Plus we've got fruit trees and almost anything you need. So we're ready to go.
All right, and your locations and hours.
Okay, the Randolph store is open 8 to 5:30 Monday through Friday, 8 to 4 on Saturday, and of course we're not open on Sunday in Randolph. The stores in Stevens Point, Sun Prairie, and 2 in Madison, 8:30 to 6 Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 5 on Saturday, and 10 to 3 on Sunday.
All right. Well, Dick, as always, thank you for your expertise, and we'll see you one last time next Wednesday.
Okay. Thank you, John.
All right. And the preceding program, a paid program, advice and opinions expressed during the program were solely that of Jung Garden Center, not WBEV 95X or Good Karma Brands.